Hello, welcome to, there we are. Hey, welcome to One Page Story Extravaganza. This is episode 150. Holy camole, that's more than toes I have to count on. All right, so we've got some fun today. Because it's the 150th stream this year, we're going to try some different things. But in the meantime, let's get started with it's typical stuff we do at the beginning. This is the page that was suggested and worked on Friday. And the suggestion was from C. Reamer. It was National Ice Cream Sundae Day. So that's the title. The rest of it is, just whimsy. So I wanted to draw in pencil crayons on Friday, so I did. And in the course of doing so, I was just having fun. And sometimes when we're working, it really is just about having fun. I can't encourage enough that whatever it is that you're doing, you have fun with it, right? Like there's so much, when it comes to art, there's so much expectation from others that they're going to go, hey, do this. And, oh, there it is, right? And a lot of it is just, it can be a slog. And if you're doing work for other people, oftentimes it's like, this isn't anything of interest to me or anything that I might read myself otherwise. And that's a challenge. So you got to find ways to have fun. My way to have fun yesterday, and it's not because the suggestion was bad. This is a fun suggestion. But my thinking on Friday was, I just want to draw in pencil crayon. And the suggestion of the title says, Ice Cream Sundae Day, which is funny, by the way, to say. So I drew Kid eating ice cream. Then I drew his grandma eating ice cream. Then I drew his dog eating it. It's just, just why not? Have a good time. Welcome aboard, Gary. Hello. How are you today, sir? For anybody that watches this, please go and check out Gary Hodge's social media sites, as well as get yourself copies of his books, DVSM. There's 3 of them out so far, and they are fantabuloso. I really, 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 really enjoy them. And it's nice when you see things being done by other people that you might know that you look at and go, yeah, they got something there. They got some magic happening. So, okay, back to business. So this is the page from Friday. The originals are available on, let's see, that's me reminding myself the title. The originals are available on to see on the Patreon in the snack. So if it's $3 a month and you get to see all the original art, and you can download whatever, and then I put up audio files where we read the pages. It's ridiculous. And we're trying to catch up on all those. I got a whole bunch recorded. I just got to literally post them all on the video. So, but we're taking care of business because Lori has the day off today because it's a holiday in Canada. So, yeah, we're trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done tonight because I got business paperwork coming out of my nose to catch up on. With a bunch of little side projects and everything else that's going on, it catches up. So, so I also, I'm about to post on the Substack the last week's pages. And so each week on Substack, and it's free to sign up. It's just under my name. But what I post there weekly is just the pages that I've done for the previous week, what the suggestion was, and what in the world my brain was thinking when I did them. So if you just want the meat and potatoes on the rest of the fufura you can leave without, go to Substack. We set some goals. We set some goals this week, and some of those goals are to round off some numbers. So ideally, we'd like to round off to 200 people on YouTube soon, and we're almost at the next number for Instagram. I don't know if it's 700, 800. Honestly, I don't really pay attention to those things. I really just appreciate when people are interacting. That was far outweighs to me than the popularity contest. I just like that we're all human beings and engaging with one another. And but it doesn't help for us meeting other cool human beings that we might not meet otherwise if more people can see it. So if you know anybody you think might like it, let them know. what we're doing here, let them know and invite them in. I've been getting all kinds of suggestions and getting DMs some suggestions. I've been getting DMs some interesting suggestions. I'm going to use that word liberally. And I've been getting some really cool ones too. But some of them are like, dude, I think that's AI. I think AI just wrote something and you're just regurgitating like it's a cool trend. I had that, and it's a good friend too. He's really smart. He's like, what in the world are you giving me? I'm not doing this. This is my grandkids have shown me some stuff, and I can't get over the immersion of AI writing and art into the world just so immediately. And people are like, yep, it's cool, it's trending. It's not trending, it's being marketed. It's not the same thing. But we are susceptible monkeys. So, the other thing is, on Patreon and Substack, the pages that I do in the weekend, those are the only places you can see those. I've stopped putting those up on Instagram and Facebook because, the whole treat the algorithm. Now, I'll put things up when I put things up. But on those places, because it's a different measure of support there, because it's, Substack's new, but because Patreon people are being supportive like that, I want to throw them something extra. That's why they get the audio files and so on. Okay, so that's that. I hope you've had a productive weekend. I've had a productive weekend. Switching your cameras. Blink. Oops. Yep. So I've got new settings on things. So look, you can see things. So it doesn't look like it's nighttime. We're working on it. So I got this is stuff not for you. So yeah, so that's why I'm brighter now, and the surface down here is brighter now, and the image is much larger now. So we're figuring out how the cameras work, which is not an easy thing for a person like me to do, because I'm not so hip with the technology. So yeah, so if anybody's got any questions, and you want to say any one-page suggestions, let me know. In the meantime, this is episode of the stream. This is episode 150 since the start of the year. Just bonkers. That's just bonkers. Okay, so today's suggestion that I was going to go with, I better write it down. Well, you write it down, Chris. I'm going to write it down. The suggestion is letters versus numbers. As characters, which is kind of fun. So let's play with that. Now, there's a couple different kind of surface that I can work on. I've still got some of that jelly. Oh, I'm sorry. It's from Jim Luan. Maybe there's another person that you should check out what they're doing, because it's to my understanding that Mr. Luan is having a stream on Wednesday night. He's going to have a sophisticated guest. That's what I've been told. So, looking forward to that. So please tune in on that. It's 7 p.m. PST, 10 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time. Letters versus numbers as characters. So I've got some of these jelly plated papers left here. And why don't we use one of these and just have a go at it? I don't know if that one's going to take, because it's rather smooth. Oh, we'll try it. I'll try it. Try it. Why not? Okay, so letters versus numbers as the characters. Now this is on just a piece of typewriter paper, so that's fun. Now I got something fun to show you before I get cracking into this. I tend not to decide what I'm going to do, and I tend not to prepare before I just start working. So I looked at the book 2 seconds before I started the stream, and I thought, well, what are we going to do? And I pulled up Jim's idea. I'll put that up here again. So I put up Jim's idea, and immediately just turned around and grabbed stencils of letters and numbers that I never use. Stopping by to give a thumbs up, Christopher. Hey, thanks, Dee Dee. Very nice of you. Dee Dee said some really nice things on her show today that made me all blushy, and very much appreciated, Dee Dee. Very, very much appreciated. Touched me on my heartstrings. Okay, but before I get into that whole stenciling rigmarole that I just mentioned, I think Siri is just trying to mess with you, Didi. I think it's just messing with you, and you know, by making you have to respell things. It's okay. I know what you're saying. It's fine. Okay, this is just something fun. It has no bearing on what we're doing right now, but I'm going to hold that in the screen for a second here. This is language. These are languages that go back. This are languages to the best of our understanding from 300 AD back. And so you'll see all kinds of fantastic, crazy stuff in there that denotes letters. And it's pretty ding dong keen. Now there's, 1300 AD. So there is something here missing, though, is that in the black letter, right, that we used to see in a lot of early print, right, in the early writing of monks and things like that, there was a number of things that were officially called letters that don't exist now. And it doesn't include any of those. And so there was this sort of, like, AE was a letter for a long, long time. It was a specific letter on its own. And it's been removed, and it's just the A and the E are on their own distinct selves, but we don't have it as a sound, a letter in and of itself. It's considered a sound. So I think TH was one as well. And yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. In many other languages, you'll see far more umlauts than you see in English also. And umlauts are when you've got a word and it's got two little dots, or a letter, and it's got two little dots above it. It's usually a vowel. I think it's primarily vowels, to tell you the truth. And it means you do both sounds of the letter. So if it has a soft sound and a hard sound, like moon is a oo sound, right? Bone is a hard sound. So it means, so if you have M, M-O-N, with an umlaut above it, it's muon. It's ridiculous, but it is. Anyways, so I just thought I'd show you that. That's super keen. If you want to take a screenshot of this for yourself, because there are so many keen as jelly bean images on that. So, all right. Now, the suggestion for today is from Jim Luan. It's letters versus numbers as characters. So put the S down, Christopher. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know. We'll try to figure out something with this, and we're going to figure it out on the fly. Now, there's a couple of ways that I can do this, and so I just want to pull some things out of the air. Now, there's three different ways we can do it. I can either take a look at these old pieces of paper that have, this don't apply because they're just language, that have some printed letters on them already. This is one option. And then this is some stenciling that, we can do, we can implement that into there by stenciling through and putting the numbers where we would like them. And then another option is if I take, I have to find one that's got letters on it, but just bear with me a sec. So this is letraset, and if you're unfamiliar with what letraset is, it's it's where you got things like gray tones and big little dots and things like that. Now they've also got ones that have sheets that have numbers on them, right? Like so. And so what this is you actually rub on the top with a pencil or a pen, and it transfers it through to the image. So we're going to use a little bit of this, and let's see what else I've got here. So I've been picking up some of this. So I'm going to be inputting this into the computer. And so some of these, let's see if I can get this to show up nicely. Some of these textures and marks that are here on this letraset sheet I'm going to be scanning these in so that I can make my own surface pencils, stuff like this. I mean, you can only use it once when it's on the sheet, but if you put it in the robot, you can use it a number of times. So we've got one here. I've got an awful lot of just, textures and things like that, which is a real gift to have all these things. So it's something that I honestly don't think I use enough of. When you're working traditionally, this used to be a far more necessary thing. I guess I don't have much of that. That's okay. Electroset would work awesome with your technique. Thanks, Dee. That's very nice of you. So the third thing is, okay, let me show you this first. Let me, I might switch cameras here. No, that's not it. Okay, so with this camera, I'm going to show you something fun. This is Cat Cam, which of course doesn't have a cat in the studio to show. But what this does is, give me a second here, I'm sorry for the shaking. What it does allow me is to have a camera that moves around and it gives people seizures. So Lori was in the studio this week, and as you can see, all the green tape, she has labeled all of my trays of materials and things that I work with. And so now when I want to pull something up, oh my goodness, I can find it? What? So thank you very much to Lori. Thank you so much for doing that. It really helps me out. And a couple more things to label yet, but all in all, everything's pretty close to being done. And so that's going to aid me immeasurably. So thank you so much to the superstar. So I appreciate that immensely. And I'm just going to move this camera out of the way. See, I don't even have to have it out. Isn't that great? I just stick it over here on the shelf and hope it doesn't fall off the shelf. Point is, I can come over here now and get out stamping sets. So, yep. So I've got some ink pads here in this unit, and then I have another unit that specifically has stamp sets in it, which include, so I'll put these in the camera. So I've got these, great little stamp sets. I'm wondering if any of them have numbers at all. No such luck there. But they got lots of letters, and we can use those for the purpose of today. So that's fun. So I'm going to put some of this aside as well. And I'll go all kinds of little stamp pads in a second. I don't want to start rumors or anything, but I'm almost getting organized. It's entirely because Lori was in the studio. She's been helping me with everything else. Oh, I left that up. I'm so sorry. Go, Lori. Indeed, go, Lori. Thank you so much for doing it. So I've got the letter sets now. I've got, the letter set now. And stamp pads. My goodness, we're coming together here, folks. So now, I just got to figure out some kind of narrative with all this jazz. I'm going to pull out the stamp pads and then get this stuff out of the way. Letter set, stencil set, stamp set. My gosh. Stamp pads, look at this. I'm going to start rumors about being organized, but oh my, it's starting to feel like it. All right. It even says inks and stamps on it. Okay, so when I look at the scale of this, whatever these are, every time these go down, it's going to be a lot of space. When I look at these, it makes a little more sense. And I don't need to have 26 different pieces of paper up for that, so that's good too. All right, so let's start with the beginning. And in the beginning, there's the letter A. Yeah, I don't know. So today's suggestion is letters versus numbers as characters. Why not? So I'm just taking this jelly plated paper, and here's some of the fun about this. When you put different layers down on the jelly layered paper, jelly plated paper, it puts these different textures on. So when you go over with like a pencil crayon, it picks it up in different ways, right? So when you see here, you can see how certain areas are grabbing the white far more. I kind of like that. I kind of like that a lot. Let's see if this is going to make any difference as a white. So I'm all about random challenges. I'm all about interesting ideas. But I've received a couple of different ones this weekend. There's a, hey, let's try to stump Chris. And then there's a, you got to make some effort to make some sense. All right, so there's our letter A. So as I'm doing the page, I'm really going to be considering that, coincidentally, the text as I'm going. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be putting down all the text here and now. I mean, when we're using the numbers and characters, you know, we got to stop looking at the things that I'm putting on here as letters and numbers. We got to start looking at them just as characters. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. So we'll start our first panel off with, in the beginning, there was, let me find a piece of paper and make notes. And if anybody wants to input on some of these writing ideas, let's do so along the way. Very busy day rushing around. I just want to say hello to y'all. Hey, Jim, how you doing, sir? Wednesday night still on? You still got, hey, man, how's your movie going happening on Wednesday? Okay, so panel 1. In the beginning. So in the context of this story, because we know that I showed you on this piece of paper earlier that A is not how things began. Because when we look at A and you look historically at all the different languages that have preceded ours, you know, A was ahan. It's an at, or an at, a bird. I think it's a falcon of some kind. In the beginning was the letter A. So there's our start. And then now let's take the contradictory opinion in panel 2 and say, in the beginning was the number 1, which we also know isn't true. Was, boy, oh boy. Let's just put the number. Blink. All right. Jim says, yes, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific. All right, so let's put down our 1 and then just get right into it. So just do that in the same approach where we put down the pencil crayon first. Stencil that on. Like I said, I'm not going to be using a lot of the stencil. But it helps us to get this started here. So before I forget, there's a place in St. Thomas that I went to this weekend, the Craft Hive. If you are anywhere near St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada, please go to the Craft Hive in St. Thomas on Main Street. It's on their Main Street there, which is called, I think it might be Talbot Street. I think it might be. But if you go in off of Moore Street, you can park in the back and go into the shop because the whole place is under construction and it's going to be for months still. And I hate to see really good art stores be jeopardized. You know, I hate to see independent businesses in general be jeopardized because of construction and things like that going on around them. I love watching your thought process. Is it genius or insanity? Both are the way it rocks. Geniusly mental. I don't know. It might lean strongly to one direction. Okay, so we've got one of the things that we can try, because we've got all these little letter sets, let's pull these out and stick these down here. So by putting the camera farther back, it lets me show you some of the stuff that's around me as I'm working. And hopefully that gives a little more understanding of where I'm grabbing things from and what's happening. So I hope that helps. So these are lead stamp sets. These stamp sets are from a printing press that was in Chatham, and I inherited a great deal of the equipment from it. And I lent it to a bunch of young people to use in this cooperative. And, I said, well, if I can store it here, that'd be great. And then they moved to Kitchener. So my storage stuff disappeared. Anyways, doesn't matter. I saved a bunch of it. So, but I had presses and the whole deal. I could chase it down, but it doesn't matter. I wasn't really using it. Okay, so here's an idea. What if we have, as language, what if we use these letters to define characters? So A in the beginning was the letter A, panel 1. In the beginning was the number 1, panel 2. So in panel 3, we can put down, just checking for something. Okay, so we can put down these letters stamped on the page as a paper towel is what I'm looking for. There it is. Good job, paper towel. So I'm going to stamp the word hey. And then above the word hey, so this is a letter character. And so this character is going to be starting the argument. And he's going to do so as a declarative, right? So he says, hey, and then the text balloon goes above his head and says, what did that guy just say? Looking for the letter Y. It's tricky because you're looking at with stamped letters, they're backwards. And if you set them down upside down, it just makes it even more complicated. So I'm stamping them on this little pad, as you can see. You can see the ink is on the raised surface of it. And I try to set it down onto the paper as flat as I can. Hey, so here's panel 3. And so panel 3 is these letters, this piling of letters saying, what that dude just say? And then now I get to put some numbers down. And so panel 3 is, so I'll put brackets. What did he just say? Now, if I was going to be really cagey, I can try to figure out the binary for some of the things for what the numbers would say. Honestly, who would read that? Very few people might try to translate that. So we've got this down in the white, and it's popping off the page because it's got, if I was to use the black, or even worse, the red in this case, it would sink into the page. And even though I've got a lot of these colored stamps, there's another red, there's a light blue, and then there's an emerald green, and my favorite kind of green, which is like a sap or a drab green. And favorite color, by the way. People have favorite colors. So we've got, we've got to start here to our dialogue. So what we can do is come in now with, this should dry fairly quickly because it's a Posca. Let me put the lid back on this so I don't accidentally put my elbow in it. And we've got these little number stencils. So let's put those in. I'm going to grab a jelly roll pen. Out of the drawer marked jelly roll pens, not bragging, just saying. It's not me. That's somebody organizing me. Okay, so we'll put the one in, Now I don't have numbers for those stamps, right? So we've got to use the stencil for these numbers, but because it's similar in size, it's working for us. It's working. I love it. It's working out. So we'll put these, and so I tried to get these letters to just touch each other. And so I'm going to try a similar thing with the numbers. And we'll put these down here. So I'm just utilizing the stencil and filling in the areas. Surprise. So we got 1, 2. It's not quite as bright, but we'll tighten that up a little bit. And the 3. I tend not to think about what I'm going to do before I start working on each page, and that's entirely because I like the immediacy of it, right? But in this case, it's literally 2 minutes before I started, I grab stencils. So it works out pretty easy this way. And when this was first suggested, it's not to say I never think about it. Like when this was first suggested, I thought to myself, well, how would I go about doing that? And then I thought about this book, and I really wish I'd pulled it aside to show you. I will make up for it tomorrow. But I can show some books if people are interested in seeing those. And what this book is it's in the entire history of the Napoleonic Wars drawn by dots. So I'll have to find it. It's in a box somewhere. It's a single issue comic, but it's literally every panel has a little dot in it with text above it. Oh, Napoleon, I love you so much. And the next panel has the second dot move closer to the first one and say it. And I love you too. Ridiculous. So panel 4. And 1, 2, 3. What do you just say? And this one says, you got a problem, pal? And let's put panel 5 down already. And so this is where it starts becoming fun to use 2 different headspaces on the material. The one headspace is that we're trying to find some sort of symbolic understanding of expression and visual elements. And then the other is we still want to tell a story, right? So I'm using words for each character. So maybe under the sort of contrived idea that these word people and these numbered people change as they go through their world and their experiences. So they morph into different numbers and different words, and just sort of as a way to sort of say that their personality can be defined by whatever the word or whatever the numbers being expressed. So, and more specifically, I would think in the words than the numbers, because you can only make so many number reference jokes that, well, you can make as many as you want, but people aren't necessarily going to get them. So I've jumbled up these letters a little bit, not been too focused on how they come down. Now I'm going to come back in again, and I'm going to tighten up some of the separations in the letters, so I'll more clearly define things. So I'm putting down, oh yeah, as the next thing our letter character is saying. So now we've got a definable conflict. So, oh yeah, like as I was trying to explain, is just the physicality. That's just the definable visual of the character. And but the text above. So I'll write, oh yeah. What are you going to do about it, big guy, right? Oh, it's getting hot. So when I scan these images, the scale, the nice thing about scanning stuff into Photoshop is that the scale gets to be changed. And what I mean by that is, if I scan this page, now when I cut this panel, let's say, out in Photoshop, because I can expand it to some extent, I could fit text in here, pardon me, itchy nose. I can fit text in here that would be far more difficult to do actually on the page. And so with that in mind, it gives me a lot of space for story here if I break it down into these small pieces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 5th panel, which is actually, you know, a wider panel because I'm going to have the numbers responding in the same panel, you know, as in the idea that there's a closure. So even though we're only using these letters and numbers as characters, we still have to try to push the narrative. And so because this panel has, hey, he says, you know, what did you just say? And then the numbers walk up and say, you got a problem, pal? And in their own panel as well. But then when we have the two different sets in the same panel, the idea is now that they've close distance to one another. Isn't that ridiculous? I'm playing as I go. So, you know, we can use the 1, 2, 3 again, or we can try to use some bigger numbers, or maybe let's rise up his numbers a little bit. So we'll go 4, 5, 6. If anybody has any thoughts or ideas on this, or if you're like, oh, Lord, Chris has gone off the deep end. What is he doing? Or we can actually try this. We can have the numbers start to stack up. Right? So let's try that. Let me think. What am I going to start with? Yeah, let's start with the 1. Like that. Like this really, really matters, but in a weird way, we're making choices here, and it's no different than the choices of deciding red or blue shirt on a character, or, you know, how do I have this person moving in a panel? I hope this is some measure of interesting to people, because I realize how out in left field this is. So thank you, anybody that might be here. So here's 1, 2, and we're going to pile the 3 on top, as though, imagine this in the context of somebody puffing up their chest. Right? Oh, yeah. Right? So 1, 2, and we'll put the 3 up here. Because he says, what are you going to do about it, big guy? And of course, this character is going to say, oh, I'm not big. Hey, 42, you know. So we'll fill in the text for this panel just so we're all on the same page as we go. So we're still on this, and it's 1, 2, and 3. And he says, well, I'm not big. Hey, Bob. Question mark? No, let's do it as an exclamation. Right? Hey, Bob. So now we're moving down to our second line of visual space. I'm only here for the nudity. There's been a shockingly low amount of it. What are you talking about? These are bare numbers and letters. It's a bear. I haven't clothed these. All of these ones here, none of them are closed in outlines. So take that as you will. Pervert. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. Okay, so here's we'll do the same thing as we did in this panel. Now, one of the things I could do, right, if I really want to be cheeky, is take this panel and just scan it again, or just use it again, and then add this third number to it. So that's one thing we could do, but it's there's different backgrounds, and so I really don't want to mess with that too much. And besides, this lets us do something else. We put the lid on this. We've got to put the numbers in first. So we can do this. So we'll put down I'm trying to make sure that I smudge them off for any excess after each time I stamp something. If anybody has anything else that they want to suggest, or any one-page suggestion ideas, or any questions, or Chris, have you gone off the deep end? Not quite, not yet. Soon. Okay, so in order to represent some concern for what's happening, we've changed the letters. So that's why I'm not reusing the same aspect over here. So he says, uh-oh. And then we'll put our lid on that so I don't put my hand in it. Do you get the feeling that I put my hand in it? So back we go. I know this is absurd, but so we're putting in the 1, 2, 3 again. Maybe we could even raise the 2 up a little bit higher. Now let's just keep it static on the ground as a sort of the principle of, it's a stackable thing. And then we've got to put the 3. I believe I have it on a slight tilt. So we get that down. So we're trying to tell a story today with letters and numbers. This is the suggestion that I'm giving, and we're going to do something from it. And I don't think it's going to take me very long, so I may very well just do another page too. Just making sure I haven't missed stuff. Okay, so this is the panel that we've got where he says, so panel 6 is, we'll just leave that as its own, right? But then, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3 say, you're in for it now. And then we'll have, let's use a 9. Okay, so he'll say, what's up, right? Okay, so there's our story as we're writing as we go. And the reason that I'm doing this where I normally don't do this is because I'm trying to make more sense of the ridiculousness that I'm doing right now. So here is our 9. Okay, so we're going to have the 9 stroll up beside the 1, 2, 3. Because this falls back on the joke that we established in the top tier of the page in the first 5 panels. What are you going to make of it, big guy? Oh, I'm not big. Hey, Bob. He says, uh-oh. And here comes Bob. Bob's a big guy. Now, I can decide to fill in the numbers or not later. I just want to bring that a little bit closer just so it makes a little bit more sense as, I'm just going to connect it. We want it to make a little more sense as a number. All right? Okay. It's all right? It's okay. So let's connect our numbers here too. There we go. Oh, happy day. So we're trying to define a story just using these. the reason that I'm walking through what I'm doing is that maybe this will help in some measure to make sense of Chris going off the deep end. Maybe not. It's Jim's idea. All right. So where are we at now? I'm just looking at maybe we'll use that here as well. All right. So letters versus numbers as characters. So where can we go with our story next? So the idea is, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as a panel. So the next 2 panels will probably be measured as to be a little bit larger as well. So now I can have 1, 2, 3 telling 9 that check out this guy, blah, blah, blah. But I don't need to redo this as a panel, because if I want to have an additional pace of dialogue, I just have to write it down and use this scan, like use this specific panel space again, right? So for panel 7, we'll just write this. Redo 6, okay? And then 1, 2, 3, we've already got the uh-oh. So 1, 2, 3 says, what's up? And it says, this guy says numbers are bigger. It says numbers, or this guy says letters, I'm sorry, we're first. And then 9 says, that right, little guy? You know, he's a bully. I don't like bullies. Question mark. And so now our panel 8 is where we get to do a substantive change with our characters. Okay? And so our text now is going to change again, because this is really representing the text. It really represents each emotional change, it seems, because we start off with hey, where it's a declarative that A, you know, the letter A comes first, and then the number 1 comes first. So letters respond by saying hey, and the number's like, what are you going to make of it? You know, he says, what are you going to do about a big guy? Oh yeah. So there's the bravura. So we've changed the emotional state from here. Like, this is established. This is the change. This is the secondary change. And he starts puffing it up. Oh, I'm not big. Hey, Bob. And then there's our third change. Now he's concerned. And you know, here comes the third. I hope people are enjoying this. This is a weird one. I realize that. But the whole idea of storytelling and the whole idea in my head of making something out of these suggestions is that we need to try to explore new avenues of language and image. And image doesn't always mean like the thing I posted today with the pretty picture of Grandma Charlie Cat. For those that are joining late, I'll pop this up. This is today's page. And so this is what I'm referring to when I'm saying, you know, there's a very traditionally finished image, you know, but over the course of the weekend, like our Friday page is on a jelly-plated paper, and our Friday page is about embedding a visual image into the established texture of the page and sort of trying to sort of emulate that the art is being pulled out of it, right? So that's my notion on that, which is why there's this sort of subdued colors everywhere you look, and that the other colors from behind will come through. And then the page that I showed over the weekend, and I'll just show you quickly, it's a traditional comic page about a hobo in an alleyway giving his perspective on the world to its conclusion. And then I follow that up by a very traditional penciled page. And so coming at things from that perspective, I'm really trying to find something different each time. And I hope that comes across. I hope people, are finding something in that. But, okay, let's get on to the next part. So we're on panel 8 now. So we've left off with 2 panels reiterating the same image, and that is, you're in for it now. And the 9 says, what's up? And the next panel he says, this guy says letters were first. And he says, that right, little guy? And so let's just jump right into it. And just let's get in the fight. Why not? So so one of the things that I can do is try now to push our narrative one more time with, again, a substantive change of the character himself through the language. And I want to pile the letters like they're moving forward. The wrong person sees this video and sees this as the first video of me doing something. They'll be like, I'm not watching that guy's things. He's crap. So here we are. So now we've got this text. Rawr. And so there's our, did I smudge that? Okay. Okay, so there we've got him attacking. Okay, he's not going to back down. And so now we've got to get in. It's my happy pen, by the way. So now we've got to get into 1, 2, 3 falling back. Right? So I think that having these numbers tilting backwards a little bit because, they're being confronted with this really aggressive little lunatic. There might be some benefit to that. You know what? Optimally, I should have put these numbers closer. But we can correct those little things as we go in post, in our editing stage that we do through the Photoshop. So there's 1, 2, 3 falling backwards. Go to our other stencil. Sorry, every now and then I'm checking the text to see if anybody's seeing anything. So now we're into panel 8. And so panel 8 has the letter characters that we've defined attacking the number characters as defined. Now, when it reads, hopefully people can really just sort of get it without the explanation part, that because the dialogue will be above the head instead of me having to write it on a piece of paper each panel as we go along, so it makes sense. So hopefully when we get to that stage, people are going to be like, oh, it just makes sense. It just makes there's some cognitive connection on their part. But in the meantime, we got to do some thinking as we're making these pages. I think I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 bump right into number 9. And we're going to tilt the 9 back just a tiny bit in order to suggest some kind of gesture in our number character. And so now we've got our 9 here. We've got our 1, 2, 3 here. And so our text for this is, let me bring it out again. So our text for panel 8 is going to be, I got to finish the bottom of that guy. What did I just do with happy? Is it underneath? What's underneath? Okay, so our panel 8. So because again we've shown the change of the type we've changed the emotional resonance for the panel. So rar is aggressive, right? So I'm going to have him say, is that right, little guy? And so I'm going to have him shout, get them. Okay? And we'll have 1, 2, 3, say, what? And 9 say, hey. And so that just leads up to our next panel, which is going to have lots of letter people come out of the woodwork. I know it's ridiculous. I know. But these are the challenges that we need to look at and go, yeah, I can try to make something out of that. So now we get to put a whole bunch of words down. And so we've got our rar guy. We'll keep that. But we're going to add in a whole bunch of other stuff as well. And so we're going to get down to putting some of these words down first. So we'll start with our rar, because that's our identified character already. We're not overly concerned here either about every way we're phrasing the word has to be exactly the same. It doesn't matter. You know that's that character because it says rar. Because you're very smart. And hopefully this makes sense and doesn't make Chris seem like a crazy person. So we'll throw some more words down as his backup is coming in. So looking for, yeah, you'll do. So it's kind of the way that this would really tie together is after the fact when I'm putting the little word balloons above the number and letter characters. So there's fight. This is quite a distinct leap from the normal fare that I do. If I finish this is going to sound dumb and maybe a little egocentric. If I finish this page today, which I will probably do tonight, that'll be 5 pages I've done today, because I don't know what is wrong with me today, but I'm on fire. So, and when you hit that moment, take it. Just give yourself that moment, as long as you're not pushing yourself too far. So, rar, fight. Let's do one more. If anybody has any suggestions for adjectives, if anybody has any suggestions for any of the words that could represent characters, let me know. All right? Because part of the process here in the stream is that I'm always welcoming towards suggestions and ideas and interactions, and I'm also welcome to just stand by and watch my disintegration into madness. So here's another guy. Attack. Starting to worry about the A. You got to check that that A doesn't get filled in, the central part of it. So I need a letter, Christopher. Oh, no, C. Now a letter K. There it is. All right. So here is everybody stampeding. Now, if I want to be cheekier, what I can do is this, and this is the last 2 letters of another character who is coming in. And so the idea is that this character's name is Charge. All right, so rar, attack, fight, charge. So now that we've got these guys, spilling out after the others. Now we've got two choices. We can either have them fight or run away. So if anybody has a preference, let me know, because I am open to either one. But now that we've established our sense of conflict, let's start off by, I'll give you a second to answer. If anybody wants to put some input on this, do they fight or do they run away? So panel 9. They don't need to say anything, by the way, because their physical act, the physical action of their body, attack, fight, rawr, right, charge. So panel 9 is just, there's charge, there's attack, there's fight, there's rawr. I think if anything, one of them can say, ha ha. Okay, so now we can have yeah, I think I'll have the numbers fall over. 1, 2, 3. And oh no. And then this guy says, look out. Right? So now we gotta interpret that with numbers. So I'm gonna have the 1 as, so the idea here being numbers are in the moment being overwhelmed by the letters. Chris, I think you're overthinking this page, maybe. Chris, this page is weird and we're concerned about you. Thank you. But it's a suggestion, and I don't back away from suggestions. He says after having been given some pretty ridiculous suggestions this weekend. I got some really cool ones too, but I'm concerned for our future generations. All right, so here's 1, 2, 3 getting knocked back. And so ideally, at this point, because our readers have been following since the start, and they've noticed that 1, 2, 3 faces up against hay, and then tries to puff up its chest a little bit, brings in its other big guy, rawr, attacks, it backs up a little bit, and then as all the other characters start piling in, it falls right into number 9. So this stencil here is older than most of my kids. And, well, clearly all of my grandkids, but I've had this stencils for a long time. So one of the things about painting for me is that I often put words and phrases into my paintings. And I used to do stencils and things like that because it expedites the process. And then I just practice more at, letters and writing things down. It really helped me out. Okay, so there is panel 9, right? And so now we get to do the next action. And because I haven't heard any responses, I am going to throw all in on the other side coming to the rescue. And then the bottom panel gets to be wholesale carnage, right? And, and we can do some larger letters in here, some larger numbers. Let's see what I got. Yeah, we can use some of these. Why don't we? This sounds, because I've got some of this Letraset stuff to put in. And do I have any more? No, I don't have. I'll check for some capital letters in a second. But So we've got our 9. Well, let's put our 9 down first. And this is an opportunity also for us to make a ridiculous joke. And I like ridiculous jokes. And that is, hey, number in, number up, fellas. Or we outnumber you. So we'll put our 9 here. And then we'll throw in a couple more letters. Now, I need to get, I got one here. Okay, so I'm going to move our suggestion. This is, again, one for our suggestion for today. So I'm going to throw in some more numbers. And so you'll see as I rub over the surface, and you can find these maybe in the back room of old art supply stores that you might go to. If it's an old mom and pop, they might still have some of these. I think it's a large corporate chain, they probably won't. So as I peel this off, hopefully it stays, because this is old. There we go. Hey, look at that. So there's our 5. And yeah, let's toss in a couple more. Let's put another 9. How's that? I'm sorry, I'm covering that for a second. And we'll throw him up above a little bit like he's. If I put them all statically on a line, it's not going to have the sense of the physical charging. I realize it's a different headspace today. Okay, so did that stencil down or not? Maybe I got to press a little harder. This, like I said, these are old. Let's see if this works a little bit better. Yeah, let's see if we can peel that up. There we go. Okay, so that's enough of those. Oh, let's do some more of our words here. And I've got to do a 1, 2, 3 in the foreground before I forget. Don't want to lose that character, right? Because it represents a guy. There we go. What am I missing? Jim says, how about a question of the day? Question, do you have a lucky number? If so, what is it? 23. My mother was 23 when I was born. I was born on the 23rd. It's 23. Born in 1923. What is yours? What is your social security number and bank PIN? Oh, 496. Wait a minute. No. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 being overwhelmed by all the other numbers. Okay. Nice try, Jim. Okay, what's people's favorite number and why? First question I ask a psychic, what's my favorite number if they get it wrong? I'm out of there. Okay, so now here's some things to consider. How do I show abuse, or how do I show damage to characters? I could do it a couple of different ways. One of those ways could be by having red, introducing red as outlines. If I do black or white as outlines of the numbers, and then as the fighting starts happening, those black lines start changing to red lines, and we get a couple of little red splatters or whatever that is. There's all kinds of ridiculous little ideas that we shouldn't limit ourselves to not considering. So So we're going to put some bigger numbers in here now. So just to carry over this idea of numbers representing characters. And then we'll stack them up, similar to how we stacked this up to show that somebody's Mr. Big Stuff. As they charge into the battle. Four, 5, 6, and then we'll do a 7, 8, 9 as well. So 4, 5, 6, and then we'll do 7, 8, 9, like I just said. It's funny how people feel about numbers, or what's your favorite number, or what's your lucky numbers on a lotto ticket, or things like that. It's kind of silly. There's a cultural bias about letters too. Like in certain parts of our culture in North America, people will say 42 because of how it resonates with the book series they like, or 69 being funny, or number 1, infinity, whatever it is. People have fun. Okay, so we're finishing up adding this character, and then we'll get a few of our letter characters down, and then we're on to our last panel, and that's the whole page before the scanning and the editorial part of it all. So there's our numbers charging, and so in this panel, we're going to have our letters responding, right? And so I'd like to try to put the lid right back on if I can. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have this post-it here, and I'll show you why. So as I'm putting these next things down, these next words down, I want to have words like stopping like this as the edge of a panel. Right? So there we go. Right into it. Right into each other. So this is again, whoops, I'm sorry. Same letter. So here's our rare guy. Let's get him down. Always going to have that identifiable guy in. And then, so we're going to add in these letters, and then we're going to put fight and attack, but then we can, of course, enter in a larger, or maybe we can make attack be larger now, right? So the idea is to just push the visual elements of it, and just try to push that narrative through this really kind of ridiculous and kind of contrived way of telling a story. And in the final page, the final panel, we need to just take it to its extent, to its zenith point. Now maybe I'll post another one of the pages that I've already got done today, so that people are like stupid numbers. Some people really don't like numbers. All right, so this is where we can do attack. Let's do attack as larger. Okay. And so I've got, ideally this is dry, and I give it a moment to dry, but we're just going to get crack-a-lacking. Or maybe we'll do Yeah, let's just do this. Let's keep attack as as its own identifiable character. But we'll introduce another one in behind him. Everybody's trying to get into this fight. That's why they're all climbing over top of each other. Ideally, I should have probably put attack piling on top of the 9. It's the thoughts you think about afterwards with your letter and number fights. So hopefully people are going to get something out of that. Gary says, this is towards the question of the day that Jim Luan has asked, as well as for people's bank information and security PIN numbers. I do not have a lucky number, but when forced to pick one for whatever reason, I'm totally unoriginal and pick 7, the day of my birthday. See, I think most people do that. I did it. So Dee has a draw thing that she does for supplies and for material for people to try to work on, or booklets she's assembled. She does this on her stream, which is so super cool and supportive. So I'm trying every time to advocate for an imaginary number. I'm always trying to, I'm going to guess 11 and 11, and people are like, that's not a number. I want it to be one. So, okay, attack, fight, rawr, right? And so now we're going to put here we are. So I got to press hard as I do this in order to ensure that it's going to transfer onto the surface. And then you peel it back and it stays. Oh, happy day! So we'll put the G down. Now the trick here is that it's, part of it is on top of this post-it. So we got to see how that's going to stay. See, you're just a disagreeable thing. Okay. We'll try it again. We'll get it down there. Go live with your friends. There we are. So, but now that we've used, did I miss a piece off of here? I thought it came down completely. Well, I'm going to cheat. Never even knew there was a problem. All right. So here's our next guy. Sorry, I've got this up here still. Jim says 3. 3, Jim. That's Jim's favorite number. Super cool. Okay, so I'm going to peel this back now. And there we go. So there's the edge of our panel. So here is our letters attacking and fighting. Charge, attack, fight, rawr, and they're crashing into the 9s. And, there's our big conflict. There's our big fight. And what this allows us is, what I can do is just leave it at this as the end of our structured narrative. But what it can, what this gives me a chance to do is to take this piece of the page and to put our title down. And so our suggestion for today is letters versus numbers as characters. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Before I forget that, let me finish this panel 9 or 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is 10. So panel 10 is where we hit the end of our big narrative push. And So yeah, we can have the numbers say, add up, guys. Or let's make it a number joke, let's say. Anybody have one? Let's outnumber them. Yeah. Dad jokes. No, they're dad jokes. Dad jokes for the kids. So make them hate us all. Okay, so now we got to think of a title. So when you think about the context of the page and everything that's going on here, of it being letters versus numbers as characters, we can try to put this together in two different ways. I can take these stencils and I can try to stencil a whole bunch of numbers in the background, and then we take the letter set and we put the letter set letters for our title over top, and then that sort of carries forward the motif of letters and numbers, right? So that's, I think that might be a fun approach to do this page. So, but we have to come up with a title: letters versus numbers as characters. How about in summation? Is anybody? Yeah. Well, let's first get all the numbers down. Okay, and so I'm just going to. I'm not even going to be overly concerned about separating up the way that I'm using a stencil. I'm literally just laying it down flat and taking the numbers as they sit on the stencil. So we'll make do with that as our background. And then, of course, like I said, we're going to do a specific title in text on top of the numbers. So both elements are incorporated into the text, into the title as well. And it's just a sort of way that we can think of being a little creative in how we incorporate that village element, that visual element. As soon as I'm done doing this, I'll show you a couple books before we close out today. I'll pull some books out to show you. If there's anybody that has a specific type of book they'd like to see, let me know, and we'll do that. We'll try to find that. This case, I'm trying to make sure we got some equal spacing here, but I'm carrying it all the way across so that we can do the same with our title box. Am I missing anything? Nope. I'm being quiet today, everybody. Boy, you must be enthralled. Nobody's sticking around. This is crazy about Christopher. You lost the plot. What's the matter with you, guy? Good heavens. We're all worried about you. You're going cuckoo for coconuts. All right. So what do we say? Summing up or in summation? Or, adding up? Adding in their opinions? Hi, baby. The cat's just come to visit me. Hi. Come here. How's your day going? All right, so we're just going to continue these numbers across the space. Oh, happy fun. Hi. Yeah. This is my old cat. No, I guarantee you somebody's going to be, oh, my cat's older. I know. She's old. She's old. She's old. All right, so we've almost got our backup part. Does anybody have any of these titles that I've suggested? Is there anything that stands out to anybody? Oh, you know what? I just came up with something. What do you think of this? Adding in my 2 cents. Maybe not. Oh, no, I got it. I got it. I got it. That 9 down. Okay, we're doing that. So there's additional things we can do, like we can take a marker or something and go around all the letters and make them stand out a little more. That's a real thing that can be added in there. And so let's think of our title. You got an idea? Meow. Baby says meow. Yeah? Really? All right. Meow. Okay, I got it. Trying to see how. Yeah, it'll sit over top really nicely. You see, I can see. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'll move that up. You see, I can see through this, and you can see the numbers that I've already put down here at the bottom. I'll move all these letters out of the way. So you can see all the numbers at the bottom, and you can see how I've got the text now. You know. So let's go. Let's just do one line. So we'll start there. And the title is going to be a few words to add in. Whoops, I'm going to press hard enough on that. There we go. I forget sometimes, you know. Come on, get on that darn thing. There we go. I'm going to find an F. So a few is a number, right? It's a numerical setting, a few. It's a quantity. So we've got a few words. Try not to run over when you're using one of these. Try not to run over a pre-existing number that you've put down, because you could very readily pull it off. There we go. So as you can see, we've got a few, a few, a few, a few, a few, a few. Okay, so there's our first. Whoa. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've always liked doing that and saying the sounds instead of the actual letters. Yeah, we'll clean it up. A few words to add. So that's the idea behind this whole page's construction, is that we're trying to figure out, with such a limitation, how to make some kind of structural narrative. It may well seem very random and ridiculous, but it works. If you look at it from this abstract way, it's not as fancy art as today's pencil crayon page is, but it forces us to have to leave a specific kind of comfort that we normally work in. And maybe if somebody that might be watching the stream doesn't consider themselves, well, I'm not an artist, I can't draw things. You don't always have to draw things. It's not about that. It's about telling a story. And telling a story shouldn't always need fancy art. The polish doesn't matter, right? It's a contradictory idea, but so in sequential media, you tell a narrative with visual elements, and it doesn't always mean somebody's talking. It doesn't always mean there's some specific action being had. Sometimes it's the silence and the inaction that tells us part of our story. Or sometimes it's the abstract, like, you know, the camera pans over here and just looks at this empty door, and there's some symbolic language to that empty door. But so we've got a few words to add. So press that down hard enough, peel that guy up. Okay, almost done. And then it's scanning and finishing things, the panels off digitally by, or maybe I might hide it, like outline the letters, but I'm not going to make you wait for that. That's boring. A few words to add. So whether others find this successful or not, you know, we did our best. We're exploring an idea, we're pursuing it to its conclusion, but a suggestion's a suggestion. Part of that D's missing. Let's skip to this guy. You'll be all fussy. There we go. A few words to add. So there's our title. So that's the gist of our page. Is that let's just go over it one last time. So the title is A Few Words to Add. Okay. Panel 1 is, in the beginning there was letter A. Panel 2, the text above will say, in the beginning was the number 1. And then the word hey says, what'd he just say? And the fourth panel is 1, 2, 3 saying, you got a problem, pal? And then the text is changed to, oh yeah, right? And it says, what are you going to do about it, big guy? And then 1, 2, 3, which is now puffing up, says, oh, I'm not big. Hey, Bob. And then the text again changes to, uh-oh. And 3 says, you're in for it now. And the giant 9 says, what's up? So then we switch to the next thing with rar. The word changes again to rar. And the 1, 2, 3 falls back into the 9. But before, oh, I'm sorry, I missed a panel. We're going to do this panel twice. And so the uh-oh is still silent, but the 3, 2, 1 says, this guy says letters were first. Is that right, little guy? Then we go into panel 7. This guy says letters, get them, he says. And then this one says, what? He says, hey. And then the letters are all jumbling into the scene and it knocking the numbers back. And one of them says, get them. What? Hey, right? And so again, with the declarative words charging into the fight, and we got all these numbers coming into the fight. And haha, oh no, look out. Let's outnumber them. Silly, but that's the thing. Okay, so now it's just for me to scan and put in a computer and try to format this into some kind of a page. Okay, well, this has been a lot of fun. People are now going to be calling Lori and saying, is he okay? Is everything all right there? We're a little worried about that one. You really just try doing a sequential page using only numbers? Ooh, cuckoo. Yeah. So, okay. So that's our page for today. I think I'm going to sign off. I will have some books to show first thing tomorrow. But in the meantime, I'm going to finish this off and get back to paperwork. It's part of the stuff that's necessary. It's nice to have the studio organized so I can find all these different random tools to pull out to do such a weird page approach. But what I'm trying to illustrate is it's about telling a story. And it's not always about the fancy art. And it's not always about whether or not a person can draw or not. It's about whether or not you think about the structure of narrative and then you try to put something together out of that. And whether this is or is not successful, I can't judge yet, but we'll see for responses. But in the meantime, we've taken a crack at it. And sometimes that's what you got. So thank you for the suggestion for today, Jim Luan. Letters versus numbers as characters. We've got our dialogue that we're going to be putting on the panels. And I'm not going to take you through waiting as I'm scanning the page and putting it into Photoshop and all the nonsense. So I'll have this posted tomorrow on social media. And this has been episode 150 of our this year's streams. And I'm really appreciative for everybody that tunes in and tells their friends. And I've got a whole bunch of things that I've been doing recently, like setting goals for myself and objectives for myself. And it's good, positive feelings. And I hope that whatever you're working on and whatever you're doing, you've got good, positive feelings too. And maybe give that to yourself. Maybe give yourself a moment to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to get accomplished? And how do I want to see things as progressing? It's helping me. Jim says, this might be your strangest trip yet. But wait, who knows what's next? It might be, but we're trying something. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I'll be back at 2 o'clock EST Tuesday afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.